It was a year of red-hot celebrity hype.
You didn't just have celebrity status, but you had a level of immediacy that we had never before in the history of the human race had.
1994 was a sensational time for pop stars, falling stars.
The Los Angeles Police Department is actively searching for...
All right, boys and girls, to my league mates, the other 11 in the league, a special midday rundown, a new interview, something to get you by. This will be about 10 to 15 minutes. I have someone coming in here who has never been on the rundown again. I'm very excited to have him here. Let's just get him on right now. For the first time ever, the owner, operator, CEO, and general manager of Ocean City Hurricane. Yes, they got a new name change. Everyone, Jim Wilson.
I bet everybody thought it was Jay.
I bet everybody did too. But you know what? Jay's a loser. He doesn't do this on camera stuff right now because he's a cop. He thinks he can't do it.
They wanted first place. They got 12th place.
I'm very excited to have you on here, Jim. We've been talking a lot. We've been trying to get this set up. Finally to get you here is pretty big. But I want to get right into this current week with you. Right now, Wednesday games are just starting. Jason Law has a comfortable lead on you right now, 1-10-2. You're down 9 already going into the halfway point of this week. Where's your head at right now?
Yeah, I'd stopped watching baseball at like 9 o'clock last night. I was 3 for 21. 2 of my hits were Jake Berger. Wasn't even going to be on the team unless it wasn't raining Cleveland. It's not good. It's not good. His team is consistently just doing their little thing each night. Nothing great, but nothing awful either. Just consistent in the first 2 days. And it's plenty of week left. Usually it goes the other way where I keep it tight for a while, then get blown out on the weekend. This is different. So, I'll find some fresh spots for some bruises there, but we'll figure it out, I think.
2 days into this week, 2 days in, we have 4 hits on Monday. We have 3 hits yesterday, a total of 7 hits for your team. You're 7 for 55. You have a 9+ ERA right now. I mean, granted, Louis Trevino got blown up, which is going to inflate those numbers in your pitching categories. But who right now on your team is not hitting? Where are the holes right now offensively for OC Hurricane?
I think the question goes the other way around, man. Which are the players that are hitting? I think it's basically just Jose Ramirez. Ohtani hasn't been good. Bogarts hasn't been good. Will Smith hasn't been good. Brendan Rodgers, I thought was going to have a post-type come-up year. He's been awful or just not even on the field, despite the core's advantage. Right now, Nate Lowe's my second best hitter.
That's a huge problem. And that was addressed on the rundown. I said that you had a hole in first base and your infield. You're starting guys right now that Jake Berger's, the Nate Lowe's, the Kike Hernandez's. What is going to happen? I mean, obviously you've kind of, I don't want to say ignored bullpen, but then again, this is another area we have to touch on. You had 2 saves and holds last week. This week, bullpen already kind of blowing up. What are you going to do to fix these 2 holes in the infield and the bullpen?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't get a chance to draft many quality relievers because I didn't have any draft picks. So I had to address my open spots in the hitting first. You know what I mean? And that's one of the key problems right now. My top target, knowing who would really realistically be there, when I had my 10th round pick in the draft after the keepers, was Alex Kirilloff, and he's already hurt. He was going to fill that outfield spot. That pushes Walsh back to first base, and first base gets a little bit better. Mountcastle up to first base, and then it doesn't look as bad in the outfield. But, he's hurt. I don't know if he's any good. He might not be good. I might have had a bad read there. And I've had guys who just haven't been able to get into the lineup right now. Mountcastle's been kind of day-to-day. Jesus Sanchez only plays 4 or 5 games as opposed to 5 or 6 games. And I think instead of cutting some maybe potentially good starters or some bench hitters here, I think I had to drop relievers to kind of fill those spots to make sure I got my at-bats in, because I'm playing guys like Babnew and Murph that have good bullpens, and I'm not going to catch them in that category anyway.
So I guess you could kind of say your focus right now is going to be just play on your strong points. Your outfield is strong. Your starting pitchers are strong. Let's rely on those areas right now, and we're going to try to settle all the rest when we can. When you get guys healthy, is that more or less where you're going?
it's not really that I'm not healthy right now. It's just guys are not performing, And it's an interesting dilemma all year for me specifically in a unique spot because I have to choose twice a week whether or not I'm going to start Otani at util hitting or I'm going to pitch him, in maybe a tough matchup against Houston or Seattle or somebody like that. And that puts another spot that I have to fill in the hitting that I just don't have the depth for right now. Um, there's not a lot of answers right now. And I've had some people approach me with trades and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's how the league rolls. When they see, blood in the water, they're going to try and take their shot. Ramirez, Otani, Bogarts, these are guys that have been asked about, and I just don't know. It's tough because I feel like we're still in the discovery stage of the season. Despite the fact that we're 3 weeks in, we're still all kind of figuring out. Like we know who the good all stars are. We know J Ram, we know, some of these other guys that are just going to be fine. Otani will be fine, but he's util only. You got to decide about pitching. He's one person in this league. It really hamstrings you with some stuff. Especially when you're trying to think about flexibility and things like that. That's one of the big problems I have this year because my 3 best players are Otani, who's util only, which jams that up all season. Ramirez is third base only, and Bogarts is shortstop only. So on these days like Thursday where there's light schedule or the days when guys are sitting because there's a doubleheader or something like that, I got to decide who to cut because I don't have that flexibility with guys right now. I got a lot of guys that are first base outfield, but the other infield spots like second base, third base, shortstop, I'm jammed up. I haven't been able to play Jeremy Pena more than 3 or 4 games all year because Bogarts is starting every day at shortstop and Otani's sitting every day at util.
And traditionally in the past, I mean, when we've looked at, when you've had your most success, back in 2019, 2018, and 17, you were also up there in the playoffs. You were very flexible. You had guys that were playing 3 or 4 different positions. Now you're really, like you just said, you're limiting yourself to guys who are only focused in on one spot, and you're kind of getting screwed on these days off when people are sitting. How will you adjust for that? Is this something where we can see you maybe trade a couple draft picks to bring in some guys? Or have you kind of, take the opposite approach of last year? Because last year, Ocean City Hurricane didn't really have a lot of draft picks, and you kind of hindered yourself from getting guys up in the early rounds. What is the strategy going to be this year when your midseason trades are coming up?
Yeah, it's tough, and I've been thinking about it a lot because I think me and you both probably made mistakes, giving away too many picks this past, either trade deadline or off season. And we were just kind of sitting there holding on to our keepers. And yours are doing better than mine. You're doing a little bit better, and that's great. But like I kept those 6 guys at the top end, knowing I didn't have the draft picks, thinking that Otani would be brilliant, Bogarts would be brilliant, Jared Walsh would be brilliant. I was relying on the Angels and the Red Sox, and they just haven't really been hitting. At least not my guys. Devers has been hitting, and Taylor Ward and Brandon Marsh, but not my guys. So I got to think about what I want to do because I think everybody knows I just don't have it in me to tank a season. Like I'll fuck myself in the future to compete for this year. Now, normally I start quickly. I start good in April and then kind of just go back to the mean and kind of get back into that 5, 6, 7 range where I usually settle into. Now I got to come from the bottom and I got to make a difference, quickly because I'm not getting, 5, 6 categories a week. I'm getting like 2 and 3 and 4. And
Is this something that you're going to tap in? Like, okay, so right now, like we mentioned earlier, the week with Jason has not started out like what you would have wanted. If this week with Jason goes sour, are we really going to have your general manager, your director of ops, your head coach all in a room, pen to paper, and really trying to get some deals hammered out? When does it start for you? And when is like maybe the shine on Otani or the shine of J-Ram wear out? When is their highest value that you could sell them?
well, I mean, I don't think J Ram's going to have any more higher value than it has right now. I mean, player of the month, player of the week multiple times already. He's certainly a guy that I can look to trade, especially when he's holding the first round tag. Long term, he's not that great. I mean, he's going to hold equal value. But if I can get a couple of guys with better keeper values potentially and flesh out my team a little bit to address some needs, even if they're not as good players, get some of these mid-tier guys that can at least fill and are quality starters to kind of get these gaps, mended a little bit. That might be what I have to do. And it's going to be tough to stomach. But I do think that Jason has one of the better teams in the league this year. So I was kind of expecting a loss this week, even if my team was running well. Next week we play West, though, and we got some good double starts and kind of looked ahead a little bit. And I think that's the week where we really need to see what we do and address things. Because I think that's a team that I should be able to beat, even if I'm starting 0-4. And if we wind up losing to West and start 0-5, I think that's that gutting Monday where we might have to start saying, this team's not going to get it done this year. Let's shake it up and figure out a way to get this corrected quickly.
In past years, I mean, you and myself, we've done a lot of trades early. We are two of the more active managers in this league. But truth be told, no one reshapes a team like you do. In years past, you have had no problem sending out 4, 5, 6 guys mid-season and completely reshaping your team. So I have no doubt that this group of players you have right now will not be the group of players come July and August. They will be definitely reshaped. But talk a little bit about that. What goes into your mind when it's like, hey, I got to make a roster flip, and this is how I'm going to do it? Because there's managers out there who don't make any trades midseason. What goes through your head in this whole process?
Yeah, it's just a matter of you can't have heart and loyalty in this game. I've tried that before and it didn't work. It does work for some guys, some years or whatever, and that's fine. But it doesn't work for me. And you got to look at it just for numbers. Player A is doing this, player B is doing this, and then number. You can't see a name. You can't look at a jersey. You just got to be able to trade whatever guy will bring you what you need back. And if that means trading Jose Ramirez to get 2 or 3 quality guys, or trading Shohei Ohtani to get 2 or 3 quality guys, I'm gonna be self-aware from a fantasy perspective and find a way to get that done, or do something to set myself up to maybe make a bigger move down the road.
You do have 3 starting pitchers going tonight, though. I mean, is this 3 pitchers who are going tonight going to be huge for the make or break part of your week?
Yeah. Peralta's in a good spot here. He had a rough couple starts to start the year, but he's getting back into what he was doing last year for me. Quantrill, I don't love it. But it's a doubleheader. I mean, the Padres put out a watered down lineup in the second game later today, and I think my other guy's a pretty good pitcher. And then Gomber's pitched well. It's a little scary starting McCours against the Nationals team that just put up 10 runs yesterday. Soto's terrifying. Some of these other guys are hitting. Josh Bell's hitting, and he's a switch hitter, so there's no platoon for Gomber there. But we'll see. He's been pretty good. I hope he doesn't get blown up. But I mean, everything's better than a 900 ERA I had so far this week.
I don't hate it, and there's a reason I didn't put you as a dramatic underdog this week versus Jason Law, because I think we have different views on Jason. I think you think he's a little bit better than I think he is. We'll see. It's very early right now. I have no doubt that you will make adjustments. People use the rundown when they come on here to help their brand or help, sell some of their players they want. Is there anything you want to tell any managers out there that you're specifically looking for or you would like to bring in?
Yeah, I think with the way baseball has been going, and granted it's been cold weather outside still. We're looking outside here. It's the beginning of May, and it's still 50, low 60s out. The ball's not flying like it is. So I'm trying to hold the course here with hitting, but it kind of looks like this might be a year to have the pitching. And if I could flip, an Ohtani Ramirez for another quality bat with a pitcher to come in, maybe that's what I should do. But I think everybody knows at this point, everybody's available, and that's not bullshit when I say it. There's some guys that say everybody's available, but they're not. There's guys that got you're never going to get Tatis or Soto from Phil. It's just not going to happen. Ohtani is available. Jose Ramirez is available. Bogarts is available. These guys are available. Will Smith, once Adley Rutschman gets available, maybe he'll become available.
See, and I think if someone is going to trade for Ohtani, like you just said, if you were able to get a nice bat and a nice pitcher for him, you would definitely make that move. And someone who's bringing in Ohtani needs to understand that they're also getting a pitcher too. Like, you're going to get a start every week, and his pitching statistics have been pretty great this year, have they not?
Yeah, he got hit hard a couple times, and he had 2 really good starts. He had one that was a near perfect game through 6, and he got 12 strikeouts, but he got hit a couple times too. Now, granted, they play the Astros a lot, which that sucks, and the Mariners a lot. But you're also going to get Oakland a couple times, and It's a gift and a curse with them the way we did it this in Fantrax, because you're going to have to make some decisions and they're going to be tough. The first time Ohtani homers in a game where he's having a good starting pitching matchup, it's going to hurt. The fact that you can only play him at util is going to hurt. I'm not trying to undersell Ohtani here or anything like that, but I'm always priding myself on being transparent and honest with people when it comes to these trade talks and communication. And he's an elite pitcher and an elite hitter, but there's a couple hurdles you have with him being one player in one league.
Last question before I let you get out of here, because we're right on that 15-minute mark right now. And I want to keep it right around 20. You have made a lot of trades. I think you might be the person with the most trades ever made in this league since we went to keepers. Is there a top 3 managers you like to deal with? And is there a bottom 3 managers you don't like to deal with? Give me your top 3 managers and your bottom 3.
I can kind of just let me pull up the standings real quick. I can kind of just give you at least how I think. With G, it's never going to get done over the computer or over the phone. Yeah, it's a person you got to show up to live in person and just hope that he's got a little Tito's in him that day or some kind of courage. Bad news, fine in general. He tends to overvalue his own players, I think, which kind of makes it a little bit difficult.
Agreed.
And he tends to be one of those guys that kind of stays the course more so than making a big splashy move. But he changed that a little bit last year when he traded for Acuna and made these kind of moves. And now he's set up well for this year. So maybe that is not as accurate as it was in the past. Maybe his trade philosophy is changing a little bit. Jason's always fine. He's reasonable. He you'll get it done if it's the right deal for the right person. Phil, kind of the same thing, except he kind of leans more towards that, values his own players too much. And like I said, I don't think you're ever going to get Tatis or Soto from him, at least not anytime soon, just because they're elite. And even if you send them 5 All-Stars, it might not be enough. Shawnee tends to be the same way too. He doesn't panic too quickly, but he's easier to deal with once the trade deadline gets a little closer. You got to kind of tinker your team, make sure you get it right before the playoffs start. Murph's super easy to deal with, especially when he is in sell mode. Hoffman is the same way. Wallace, I still feel like I should have Walker Buehler right now, and it's just inappropriate how much you wanted for him. So there's a little sourness there. But you can get deals done with him too when in the right situation. Wes, I don't know what to think with him. Some days you can't do anything. Some days you get anything. Reagan, you get him with a couple beers in him, he tends to get a little loose and conversational and gets it done with you. And then you and I think maybe have made the most trades ever between 2 managers in the league. It's just, what I want. I know what you want. Let's find a way to get it done. Easy breezy. Sometimes, I think we made the Aaron Nola trade at the beach bar at Dover last year in 13 minutes.
Yeah, and I never understood why more managers didn't take that approach. That you have holes, that other people can supply bats or arms to help you out, and you can give away stuff that you have as surplus. And a lot of these managers, like you mentioned down that list, are very tough to the heart, like some of their players. And I never understood that, but
I think
that's why some of those guys never won. I don't know.
But I think it's the fear of missing out too. You want to make sure you make a perfect trade, and it just doesn't happen. You're going to win trades, you're going to lose trades. I've if Ohtani turns into a superstar and turns it around quick here this year, I'll probably hold on to him. And then if he's great for 10 years, I definitely won that trade with Murph. But, every time Vlad does something great, which is, 2 or 3 times a night, that stings too, but I took my shot with Mookie that year and tried to make a run at the title. It didn't happen. But I've learned my lesson with these young guys. And more often than not, the development of player guys don't work out. But, Vlad was just one of those can't miss guys, and I'm paying for it now. But you can't be scared to take a risk. And I never won, so I guess it doesn't really carry that much water. But just can't be too scared. That's my. I'm
going to let you get out of here. I think this was a great insight to your mind and what you're going into. So we kind of maybe think we'll see how this week plays out with Jason. We'll take a look at next week when Wes comes into town. I'm curious to see what the odds will be when it's you versus Wes. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for your first time on the rundown, popping your cherry on the rundown. I appreciate it. I think this was great.
Yeah, sorry it took so long to get on. Thank you for everything you've been doing. You're putting in a lot of work. The studio looks great. Phone lines are open. They'll be even more open if we start 0-5 and lose to West here in 10 days or 11 days or so. But yeah, they're open. Anybody's available, and trying to bring in some arms and maybe an outfielder or two.
Best league ever.
Best league ever. Love you, bro.
Love you guys.